horribly wrong on the Colorado thing. So, as you heard last week, we talked about how all of a sudden Colorado is a sweep for Cruz, and we all thought here on Smith Radio that there was a primary at some point, because when you look it up on the delegate count, it says March 1st.
Right, like it already went down.
Yeah, like there was some sort of a primary of some sort.
Right.
So then I said, during the show, I literally was looking this up, what was the results of this primary? Because I had a feeling that maybe Trump won it, but then all the delegates went to Cruz, kind of like the Louisiana thing.
Right.
Even though not all of them went to Cruz, but still. And it just said, no primary, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. How did the delegates... So what we found out this week, thanks to the hard work of all the other journalists who were like, what the heck happened here? Nobody knew what happened with Colorado. They all had to do research after the fact to find out that if you go way back to the very beginning of the entire candidacy process...
back in August.
Yeah, August of 2015.
And Trump announced he was running for president in June.
Right. So in August, they got all the candidates together, and they said, we're going to go over the ground rules, not only nationally, but for every single state, individually. And so nobody could say that they didn't know any rules for any particular state. They had it all. They had all the rules for every state. Apparently, it had been decided by Colorado that they would not have a primary. And then we later found out again that the reason they made this decision is because they were smoking so much pot that they're like, hey, man, you think we could do this? No. We're going to have to get ballots together, and people are going to have to count them. And wait a minute, how are we going to verify?
Hey, man.
We got to verify this.
Let me in. I got the stuff. Who is this? Hey, man, it's me, man. Hey, open up the door, man. I got the stuff.
Who is it, man?
It's me, man. Come on.
So all these high potheads out there in Colorado were like, oh, man, we're going to have to count ballots. Wait a minute. How do we know if they're right? What if we lose count? And then they said, you know what? Let's just let the delegates hash it out and figure it out.
So apparently the GOP, RNC, they believe, well, they know because they look at the history of Colorado. And the history of Colorado is that Colorado usually sways and votes for the wild horse, if you will, the guy who's non-establishment, kind of out there.
Yeah, like the past couple of general elections, they've gone to Obama.
Right.
Which is really weird because if you look all over the middle of the country, generally it's just red all the way across.
And soon as Trump got in, after the month of July, coming up into August, they started to see the writing on the wall that this outsider was surging and starting to really pull it together. And they said in August that, you know what? We're going to cut this one off at the knees in Colorado.
So you think it was a conspiracy? Because in August he was really going gangbusters.
I mean, it's not a conspiracy. I mean, it's a fact. They don't like him, and they're pulling out all the stops legally, if you will, to try and stop him.
Yeah, and here's what Rush's point was all week. There's nothing illegal. There's nothing against the rules. All the rules were followed. So he couldn't understand. Rush's whole thing was you can't accuse people of cheating. He just would not accept that. And I understand it because since no rules were broken, then it technically isn't cheating. And he went on and on all week. And then he couldn't take it that Trump came out and said that they cheated and that they that they canceled the election. And Rush wouldn't accept that as being truthful.
Yeah.
But here's why it actually is truthful.
Yeah.
They canceled the primary all the way back in August of 2015. And Trump was making it sound like it was canceled at the last second.
Which, for whatever. I mean, it's politics, and Trump is trying to sell it.
Right.
It'd be more feasible, more digestible.
So Trump wasn't exactly lying.
No.
But it was misleading because it made it look like they were supposed to have a primary, but they didn't, just to steal it from Trump.
Right, right.
And then there was speculation that maybe this was planned because Trump knew that he wasn't going to win Colorado at all. And so if it looks like you tried really hard and still lost, that would be like a double loss.
Right, but
as opposed to losing and saying, "Whoa, dude, I didn't even know we were supposed to be there."
Right. Well, Trump's delegate manager, if you will, Manafort, he came out and said that we knew that was a rigged system. We knew that it was already set. It was already set in stone before it even went down.
Right, because
So why would we spend our money? And this thing with Wyoming yesterday?
Yeah, but you could pick up a couple. Wyoming's
going to get to
coming.
Wyoming.
Wyoming's coming.
But, and I've got a soundbite on that with Manafort, so when we get to there, you'll hear that. But there's a thing going down in the background, and literally, Trump, get with the rules.
Okay, so that's what everybody was saying all week. Exactly
Right.
what you just said, Brian.
Okay.
Which is the Cruz people. This is what I heard from a lot of Cruz caller into to different shows and stuff like that. They said that they can't believe, or they can believe, they think it's a good thing to bash Trump with, that a guy who did what some consider questionable tactics as a businessman, such as utilization of eminent domain and stuff like that,
which are legal rules.
Right. Totally legal. You're allowed to do it. And he would do it. He would utilize it because he's a brilliant, borderline genius businessman. And he would utilize every single tool at his disposal, including donating to Democrat politicians, all that kind of stuff, right? Pulling out all the stops to succeed and to win in business. How is it that a guy like that fails so miserably at politics? Here we have a thing going on in Colorado where you go in and you fight for delegates, and those were the rules. Everybody knew the rules, and he just totally dropped the ball. They couldn't believe, these people all week, that he would be so bad at politics, even though he's so good at the private sector equivalent, which is dealing with all these rules and stuff like that in business. So that was the theme of the entire week. But guess what?
Yeah. Guess what?
Guess what? They have all been hornswoggled.
Yep.
They have. I'll tell you what happened this week. I am absolutely convinced right now that Trump is way smarter than I thought he was. Way smarter. Not only is he a genius in business, but apparently he has just shown us all that he is a genius in politics as well. Because here's what happens. Some people are probably listening right now like, what? And the reason you're so confused is because this is exclusive. Nobody, I have not heard anywhere on any shows that I've been listening to so far make this point, which is Trump has absolutely destroyed everybody on this Colorado thing. And, some people are like, what do you mean? Well, how do we measure success in politics?
By winning.
And winning what?
Delegates.
Well, how do you win delegates? I mean, in Colorado, we're not winning delegates, right? Well, for the most part, voters, poll numbers, and getting the votes. Well, if you look at the past 2 months, Cruz has been getting higher, steadily gaining on Trump. Trump's been steadily going down. All of a sudden, this Colorado thing happens, and it is off to the races for Trump. Exploding in the polls. Cruz is just, and I'm talking nationally. See, my initial thought was, everybody's excited about New York State because everybody in New York State likes him because they hate Cruz and all that. I'm talking nationally.
National AP poll. I had this for later on the show, but AP poll, Republicans thinking Trump could win the general election, 86%.
Wow, that's even higher than a poll that I saw on Meet the Depressed, I think. There was a poll on Meet the Depressed or Deface the Nation, one of the two, where it was F. Chuck Todd.
F. Chuck.
F. Chuck. He did a poll or displayed a poll that showed that 66% of Republicans would prefer to see the nominee be the person who has the most delegates.
Wow.
That's two out of three.
Okay.
2 out of 3 Republicans want to see whoever has the most delegates. That means a plurality, not necessarily a majority, be the nominee. And of course, Reince Priebus was just all over. By the way, let me back up a little bit. Reince Priebus has been totally under fire this whole entire. Oh wow, we just got this. We got the polls here.
And this is the last 3 months, and that's from.
Yeah, Trump. Wow. So if you look at the very end, look at the divergent.
That's why I showed it. Yes.
Yeah. So as soon as the Wyoming thing came out, now Cruz didn't just go down because he happened to be the recipient of all those delegates. He went down because he is celebrating this system, and it's disenfranchising the voters, and people are just disgusted by that. And then Trump, I mean, some people may say that they're giving him the let's feel sorry for Trump vote, but in a way, it's a protest against this system. So anyway, Reince Priebus has been spending the entire week trying to defend what's happened in Colorado. The entire week.
Well, I've got a soundbite.
He's been on every single talk show, radio show, everything, and one of which, or at least several of which, I've heard where he sounds like he's just drunk.
I don't have the drunk one, but I've got a soundbite of him being on MSNBC. If you want,
I believe it was a Hannity on the radio. He was definitely drunk. He's like, "Come on, man!" The way he talks, you're just like, "This guy's a shyster." But anyway, what they didn't realize was by doing this, they have sealed it for Trump. Trump has absolutely won, and this is not just a coincidence, though.
You can see the divergence when I just showed Carrie the graph.
Oh,
from
yeah.
Real Clear Politics. The two, Trump and Cruz,
looks like two hockey sticks.
Well, they're coming together, and then all of a sudden Trump, within the last couple of days, is straight up. And Cruz is straight down.
It looks like two hockey sticks opposing each other.
Yeah.
Where the long part of the stick, they were starting to come together like Trump was going down, down, down slowly, and Cruz was going up, up, up slowly, like they were going to cross at some point. And then, boom, hockey stick at the end. It's just crazy. One goes straight up, the other goes straight down. And, wow. Now, some people say, well, this is just a blunder on the establishment and Cruz's part. No, this is not just a blunder. This is why I just said Trump is the genius here. He knew what the rules were. That's number one.
If he leads on, if the people know that he knew the rules, this wouldn't work.
Right. So he's been coming out and being a little bit fibbing, a little bit white lie, saying, indicating that, he's making it sound like he's been blindsided.
Right.
Which, according to Rush, and I have no reason to doubt him. Rush is like, there's no way he didn't know this because all of this was disclosed in August of last year. So he knew this. Not only that, but he just hired 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, Manafort, the best of the best,
extremely experienced. There's no way that this guy was hired, and then 2 weeks later was like, "Oh, dude, my bad. I'm sorry, Mr. Trump. It just slipped my mind, man. It just slipped my mind.
Yeah.
Ouch. You know what? I'll make it up to you, man. I'll make it. No way. This was a calculated idea on their part." Very risky. I mean, if I was in the meeting when they were discussing this, I'd be like, dude, send somebody.